welcome once again to MSTV. I am your host, Joe Pietaro, publisher of Muscle Sport Magazine. And yes, I'm still in the Batcave, the annex, whatever you want to call it, still recovering from the back surgery. So I wasn't able to get out to the studio where we normally do these shows. So I have to record these little, these little bumpers at the home studio and make the best of it. But you're not worried about seeing me because, first of all, I want to acknowledge TitanMedicalCenter.com, the new title sponsor of Titan Medical Center, presents Greg Valentino Talking Smack. Yes, that's right. Greg is back where he belongs in the MSM family, host of his brand new weekly show. A couple episodes are out there, but that is still brand new to me, Talking Smack on our Muscle Sport TV YouTube channel. So thank you so much to Titan Medical Center, and welcome back, Greg. We missed you over here, and I know that the family loves having you back as well. After this quick break, we're going to have a very special guest, Sergeant Joe Imperatrice, going to be joining us right here on MSTV. He is the founder of Blue Lives Matter NYC. Not just NYC, mind you. That's the real Blue Lives Matter organization that encompasses the globe for police organizations. And he will tell us a little bit about he's been all over cable news networks because he turned down the Jets' offer of becoming one of their partners, one of their sponsors, because of this whole NFL protesting. And you guys know I'm retired NYPD. He's president NYPD, still active. I was a sergeant. He's a sergeant. He works in the detective squad. I worked in the detective squad. There's a lot of synergy going on. And I never spoke to Joe before we did that interview. We exchanged one email. I spoke to Lindsay in their office, and she set this whole thing up. I exchanged one email with Joe, and we got this interview going, and I felt like I knew him for 1,000 years because we obviously see eye to eye on this issue, and when you see this interview, you're going to really enjoy it, regardless of which side of the field, if you will, if you stand on. If you're a kneeler or a stander, you're going to enjoy this interview. That's going to, I don't need to, it speaks for itself. I'll let you guys watch it. But, of course, we can also be joined by a host like we always are on MSTV. So don't go anywhere. We'll be right back after this quick break. I'd like to welcome to MSTV Sergeant Joe Imperatrice. He is the founder of Blue Lives Matter NYC. Welcome to the program, Joe.
Thanks for having me.
Our pleasure. Now, obviously, most of my viewers know I'm a retired sergeant as well. You're active sergeant, so MSM has been pro-police from day one for obvious reasons. We actually are the only media outlet, to my knowledge, that has completely boycotted the NFL. After week 2 last year, leading into week 3 is when all of this really kind of came to a head, when Donald Trump made his statements and then all the game in England and all of that. So I stopped watching. I have not watched a snap of NFL football, and I'm 51. I've been a lifelong fan of the game. As a sports writer, I've been covering it since 2005, and that was my sport. That was my passion to cover that game. And I have totally not watched a snap of the NFL since week 2 of last year, and I do have no intentions of ever going back, regardless of how they try to fix this whole thing. Now, you came into public view outside of your police work because the Jets offered your organization, which I want to get it out there first. I'd rather you say it. You guys are the only legitimate nonprofit Blue Lives Matter organization that is out there, and totally correct.
Correct. Registered the IRS, absolutely.
So there's a lot of groups that call themselves Blue Lives Matter, and maybe their intentions are good. I don't know. I'm not condoning or critiquing them. But as far as you know, you are Blue Lives Matter, and you're the founder of that organization.
Yeah, what people do is they set up pages, and they don't do anything like we do.
Okay. And when did you actually start this group?
Well, in 2014, December 20th, Ramos was shot and killed in Brooklyn, New York. And right before, that's when all the protests were going on, and close to home with Eric Gardner, and then you go to Baltimore and, St. Louis, Missouri, and all this stuff is getting crazy, and the boiling point pops over. And then we have our 2 cops assassinated. So we started with just silicone wristbands. It was never intended to become a nonprofit, but it took off, and as a police officer, you want things to be transparent and legit, so we sat down with a lawyer. And here we are going to our 4th year now, raising almost $1 million, starting with 3 cops from Manhattan.
Wow. You know what? If you want to plug those other guys, please feel free.
Yeah, Chris Brinkley, one of my crime cops at the time, Carlos Delgado, both vice presidents, both my crime cops. And we wanted to make a difference. And the thing that really hit home was, I think it was the first time in a while that police officers came together the way they did when we saw them at the funerals coming from all over the United States and even out of the country. And we said, these people are coming to support us, the largest police department in the world. How do we support them, or at least have them on our mind every single day? Because, after funerals, everyone goes their own separate ways, and the dust settles and the family's alone. Mm-hmm. And we thought, well, you start off with the wristbands, and it was a reminder that every time you looked down, you were keeping the memory of an officer killed in line of duty alive. And that was the main thing. And then what we wanted to do is make almost like a Make-A-Wish Foundation, extreme home makeovers for law enforcement families. So whether they were dying of a life-threatening disease, or whether it be Ramos and Lou or Familia or Tuazzola, you show up at their doorstep and let them know that they're not alone. Someone's always thinking about them, and I will never be able to be in their shoes, and I never want to be, but if you just put a smile on their face, get them away from the negativity they're dealing with, you can make a positive change in this world.
God bless you, bro. I mean, that's fantastic, and that was one of my NSU foot posts in the 7-9 where that double took place, and I went there afterwards to see the memorial and pay my respects, and it's just amazing. And I've been through a situation where when I was in Manhattan South TNT, a member of my field team, Detective Louis Lopez, who was a Staten Islander as well, March 10th, 1993, 15:58 hours. I will never forget that day, that moment. That really was an impactful, a horrible situation. And I wish groups like Blue Lives Matter NYC was around then, because we were we were out for a few days on, LOD sick for that, and it was tough coming back. It was not easy. So, shit, man, my hat's off to guys like you and your cops that you mentioned that work with you on this, and everybody involved with this. And I'm definitely going to talk to you guys off camera once we're done with this. I want to be involved, helping out, plugging and all of that stuff, because, it's obviously, brotherhood in blue, but... So I want to make sure everybody knows that Joe has started the actual Blue Lives Matter, and a lot of these other groups you see, if they take donations and they're going into the right hands, that's great. But we know yours are going into the right hands, and it's not just NYPD, like you said, it's global police officers that are involved. So the Jets reached out to you, as they do a lot of local and worldwide organizations for sponsorship. I'm not even going to bother asking you what they wanted for it, because I don't care. That doesn't matter. Right. And you politely declined the offer, and most of the reason why you brought in Isaiah Crowell, and because he's a member of the Jets, and we know what he did when he was with the Browns, with that tweet that image that he tweeted. And they came back, and they were correct, and you acknowledged that they were correct, that they've done a lot of first responder things. I remember games like when I covered the Jets, I remember them a lot of times, like Mangold was very, good with the city agencies, and he would wear the PD cap or the FD cap or Port Authority, and they would come out for the national anthem wearing like the caps of the first responders from 9/11. So can't totally throw cold water on the Jets for what they have done. And you said that, I believe, even on Neil Cavuto's show on Fox News, but you politely declined. Has there been any follow-up since then after that initial email exchange with you guys?
stuff going on. I'm actually supposed to be live on Varney and Company tomorrow on Fox Business.
Awesome.
And we are in talks. There's, I can say some things got to wait because we're waiting on their legal team.
Yes.
But the whole point of this, so everybody knows, is it's not just to set up an event and say, oh, look, Blue Lives, they swept it under the rug and they're in the stands and watch a football game. This isn't what this is about. I listen to people all the time, and so many people are upset with what's been going on with the NFL for the last, 2.5 years now.
I'm one of
and
them.
they want a voice. And the problem is, and you know this also, there's a couple police unions and even the SBA, they went rah-rah, went to San Francisco, and nothing happened. Nothing came of it.
Yeah.
And I think what my words did is gaining traction was being polite and being respectful and not bashing anyone and not painting a broad brush. And like you said, it wasn't about the Jets. It was just in general about the NFL and respecting our country, respecting our flag, and even being in the PD, you have rules, and God forbid we were to do certain things, we have to abide by them, or else you're getting suspended, you're getting a bad post. You know that.
You're getting one.
So, yep. So we're in talks, and we actually want to be the catalyst. And I said on Cavuto as well. You had people like Martin Luther King Jr. that really paved the way and really made a positive change, and they had to be the voice. They had to go outside the comfort zone, and they did get criticized for it. And this is national news, and if somehow, some way, we get to sit down and be professional and understand both sides, because when there's an issue, it's not just a one-sided issue. There's our extremists, I got hate mail, I got love mail from this. We got to understand one another at the end of the day, because otherwise we aren't going to get anywhere. And it doesn't mean that each side is 100% correct, but we have to work towards a solution where both sides are comfortable. And at the end of the day, this is about the flag, and these players are allowed to play under that flag, under this country that those soldiers sacrificed for. And yes, they do have a right to protest. And we're not saying that they don't have feelings and shouldn't feel a certain way towards things, but there's a right place and a wrong place. And on national television, when there's a camera, when there's soldiers, and I saw a picture yesterday of an officer saluting, standing up, and these players are on their knees, that's not proper, They have platforms. They can go on TV. They can go on paper. There's other ways. And if you don't want to stand, that's fine. Listen, I don't know if it was always in my mind, but Major League Baseball, for instance, if you ever watch, unless it's a opening day or the World Series or All-Star game, not all players are on the field at one time for the national anthem, because there's a million things going on. They're getting warmed up in the clubhouse, and it's okay, but the people on the field are standing there professionally and respectfully. So if we could institute something along the lines of that, listen, you want to be in the clubhouse, maybe it's not considered protesting, maybe they're warming up, maybe they're getting stretched out. But if they're on the field, stand professionally, and if you do not, and you still want to make a statement, you're going to be heavily fined or suspended. That's simple.
So now the thing that you said that you can talk a little bit about now, was that Jets related, or is it NFL related, or is it broad?
So it's affiliate for the Jets who deals with the entire NFL. Okay. We actually sat down, we had dinner in Long Island, and we had an extensive conversation. It was the most comfortable thing ever. And just like Italians do, you settle your bombs over breaking bread. And it was that simple. And we sat down, we drank some wine, we had some food, and we talked and said, how do we think together with our ideas that maybe we can have some teams start implementing it to where it trickles down, and they say, you know what? This is fair. Let's do this. And that's the goal.
Okay, good. Because right now, I actually thought what Roger Goodell and the owners did a few months ago, where they put that rule in place, I wasn't crazy about the locker room part of it, but I said it's a step in the right direction. But I was still saying I'm not putting myself back in and saying, not that the NFL gives two hoots if I'm covering them or not. I'm not trying to say that, but I'm just saying as a fan as well. And I know a lot of people that did not renew season tickets, that ate season tickets last year. They didn't even want to give them away because they didn't want people in their seats. They hung out in the parking lot and partied and had a good time and didn't go into the game. This was legitimate, people that I know personally that did this. And the thing is, so they looked like they were trying to do a step in the right direction, and Goodell went for the first pump fake. Soon as the players got nasty with that, then he pulled that off the table, and now we're back to square zero, really. It's not even square one. It's even worse than it was because now they gave in. So maybe what you're talking about could be some kind of a bridge to getting something done like that. I see. To me, I think the NBA, the way they do their rule is, you have to be there. And that whole thing with Chris Jackson, I forget his name, Rauf, I think he changed his name to, that made the rule in place, and there was no debating it. So, I mean, I also do like what you're saying. At least you're meeting halfway type of thing.
Right.
And so this might be a team-by-team thing, you're saying. It might not even be an NFL thing.
Well, what it is say we start in New York, and you know from being here in 9/11, we shouldn't need another tragedy like that to come together, work together towards a positive goal. We need to do it proactively when that crap's not going on. And if we would start in New York, the financial district of the world, it's Madison Square Garden, the Jets, the Giants, the Yankees. Listen, sitting down with the affiliate, the way they explain this, if there's one fork that's used in the stadium that works well, all the owners end up using that fork throughout it because they trust it. Okay, you said it's good, let's all do it. So if this is good for one team and it's showing a positive outcome, there's a very good chance they can turn around and say, you know what, the Jets started this off, it's working for them, let's implement it in our stadiums.
Yeah. I know you can't talk about, you can't mention, obviously I know that you're not going to mention the affiliate, that's for obvious reasons, so I'm not going to even bother asking you that, but I think that's a great start. At least it's, like you said, it's a proactive thing. You're on both sides, if you will, to use a phrase, and now you're trying to come together. And I think definitely that if the New York teams don't do it, hit Jerry Jones up, because he seems like to be on the right track with this thing.
He is, and the thing that sucks is when the 5 Dallas cops were shot and killed, and they wanted to do something nice and with a little displays.
Yes.
And I don't know if it was Goodell or whatever, you get blocked out, because that's something proactive. And I don't get it. Here you are, you're allowing these guys to disrespect the country that pays them to play, right? Like I said, on American soil. But yet, you got these players, they celebrate in the end zone, you're going to fine them. They wear cleats for 9/11, you're going to fine them. For, some kind of disease they want to put out there, they wear purple cleats or whatever, you fine them. That's not setting a great example. These players are trying to, with their platform, do something positive, but yet you're going to screw them. And the people that are spitting on our flag, that's allowing them to stand up and do what they do, you're going to let them get away with it? That's what's wrong with this place right now. And we got to set the example, and you got to be stern. Put the rules down, crack the whip, and say, no, these are the rules. If you don't like it, leave. It's that simple.
I love it, and Jerry Jones has been kind of a voice in this thing. I know on Neil Cavuto you mentioned Dak Prescott and also Ezekiel Elliott. The two black players, they're probably the most prominent players on the Dallas Cowboys. Those are their two superstars. They're big name guys. And they came out, and Prescott got so much flack over that, which all he was saying was, we wanted to bring this to the table, this thing, when Kaepernick first started doing it. And we'll get into the whole real reason why that they're doing this in a moment. And he says, we've done that and then some. It has been a big talking point, which I don't have a problem with it. I like it being a talking point because I like to counter it. I bring let's have it as a talking point. Please talk. So he says, we did that. Now let's do that off the field. Let's do our job as NFL players, but not ignore that. We did what we had to do. And he got flack for it. So it's really disheartening when you see a superstar player who's an African American who's acknowledging he agreed with the protest. The protest worked. Now let's not continue the protest. Let's do the talks. And so I'm hoping that your thing, because it's not just player related, it's business related. Let's be honest. NFL's a business and it's making money, and they could say whatever they wanted. They lost a lot of money last year with no shows. Because parking, concessions, and all of that stuff, how many people, when they got their season ticket renewals in the mail, we'll find out in less than 2 weeks when the NFL season begins, can't go by the preseason. And the big thing, Joe, is in 2022 the TV contracts expire. So all of the people that were saying the NFL's not losing money because of these protests, everybody made money. That was an automatic. Because the TV contracts, the revenue split down 33 ways, league and 32 clubs. Then there was no way the team was going to lose money. When the TV contracts are going to be, ratings are dead the last 3 years, we need to do something. So that's when I think it's going to come to a tipping point. I'm hoping your thing can start that before we have to wait that long.
I hope so also. It's been too long as it is. And it should have been nipped in the bud a while ago. It could have been.
Yeah, it should have been looked at early on, and last year it got really out of hand. And now I don't know if you saw Wellington Mara's granddaughter says she supports the players, whatever they do. They shouldn't get fined. So obviously she doesn't speak for the Giants, and I'm not saying she is, but she's a public figure. She's an actress, and with that, her family owning that team since the 20s, so obviously that's a headline, and it's another headline which is against what's going on with all of that. Basically, a lot of the things that the players were saying was, we're not disrespecting the military. They didn't say it, but we're disrespecting the police when they,
Exactly.
All right, so you're not, okay, so I always said, I want to meet that challenge head on, and I sent you guys the link to the article. It's quite lengthy. It was hard to keep it down. I couldn't, there was no way to cut that article. I wanted to be detailed and be fair with it. And I looked at every one of those situations, which I used Randy Moss's tie at the Hall of Fame as a list. And there was others that could have been added to the list. But basically, I had no problem with the South Carolina shooting, how that was handled. I mean, that cop was wrong and immediately was, arrested, suspended, and got a jail sentence. So, I'm not just going to say every time a cop shoots someone, the cop's always right. And you had said the same thing on Cavuto. But the other cases, and people they always say you can't put yourselves in a black man's shoes if you're not black. Okay, I'll give you that. But you can't put yourself in a cop's shoes if you've never been a cop.
I absolutely agree.
That was the whole pretense of my article. And that's why I tried to get it out there to NFL players, to NFL media personnel that I know personally and have worked with over this time that I've been doing this since I retired from the PD. And not one of them bid on it. It's because I don't think they want to really have that discussion.
They don't. They don't want to. They don't want to go after the facts. They want to go after these issues that are made up. And the reason why I say that is,
how you doing? My name is John Sikoris, and this is Sharif Sikoris, and we're the owners of Titan Medical Center.
disagreeing and saying that police brutality didn't happen years ago. It didn't. It did. It absolutely did.
Yes,
but nowadays, officers aren't jumping out of a car and just whipping people's asses and just getting back in the car and leaving them for dead. It's not happening. It's not. And the same thing, everyone knows issues that I read that you had out there. If an officer does something wrong that the public doesn't know, is they're getting their guns and shield taken away either that night or the next day. Yeah. They're already starting the legal process, but they're not letting it out in the news. It doesn't mean that it's not happening. It's just that they're not divulging that information. Yeah. And when a cop is with a drunk driving or really does abuse somebody, they're suspended immediately, and they do go through the process. They're making it seem like this is a everyday issue. All 50 states, cops are just whipping people's asses, and it's not true. And if you look, too, it almost triple the amount of white individuals are shot by police yearly than blacks. So numbers don't lie. So let's stop the nonsense with trying to say that, people don't care about black lives and things like that. That's BS. And like I said earlier with Jim Brown, he even said many white individuals throughout the years risk their lives so that they can make lives better for blacks and get them their rights. Yep. Let's call it what it is. You know what I mean? At the end of the day, does it mean that every single person's an angel and has a halo? No, it's not. But that's any individual. Same thing with officers. Yes, it's people that screw up, but it happens in any profession. You got people in the NFL that have been locked up for domestic violence and drugs, and Plexico Burr shooting himself in the club. You know what I mean? Like, come on. But people forget that because they're on a pedestal. Yeah. So let's call it what it is. And the thing that really bothers me, and you know this from being in law enforcement background, Chicago's getting shot up like Swiss cheese every single weekend. Why aren't these players putting their time and their efforts into that? Fixing those communities. What about Junior, who was stabbed up in the Bronx like an animal on a street corner? Why not going to fix that? These are the issues. Yeah. The way I see it is, when we were younger, I feel that there were a lot more programs for kids in schools. More money was sent over to schools. And kids were able to go and do things to keep themselves occupied. Over the years, money was taken away for political issues and put into other people's pockets. So what happens is kids go on the street, hang out with knuckleheads, and bad things happen. When bad things happen, the cops get called. When the cops get called, there's interactions. And the more interactions there are, the more possibility that something bad's going to happen. So if we get these kids off the street, right, into good programs, whether it's fixing basketball courts or after-school programs, there's less of a chance of interactions to happen, and that's where we got to go towards.
Yeah, no, I agree wholeheartedly with everything you just said, Joe. And to me, it's like the players, what they should do also is even if they wanted to wear some kind of, like, I know the NFL is bad with the uniform things, but even if they wanted to wear something, to me, the whole kneeling and the fist thing, because that reminds people of, I mean, I'm 51, so I remember the 70s as a kid growing up, and I'm a Brooklyn kid. I lived there my whole life until I moved out here when I got married out in the island. It was the 70s were rough, man. And the Black Panthers and the Black Liberation Army were executing our guys, NYPD guys, famous shootings. And to me, that shows that you're condoning something like that with the fist. So I, as a cop and a New York City person, I attribute that to the Black Panther Party thing. Maybe the guy doing it doesn't even realize that that's their symbol.
Sure.
And then the whole thing with the Beyonce at the halftime thing. I mean, so it's not like it's something that's nobody knows about it. It's obvious what that thing is, and it's just basically more of a dividing factor as well. There's no way to get people on the same page, like you said. But if you can get it where there's a happy medium,
right?
To having professional athletes do something that will remind a widow. You know, I mean, we had a foot post when I was in the 7-9, 666 Willoughby Street. We were not allowed to go in that building alone because that's a building where there was a shooting, a BLA shooting. So, and then also, like I was telling you off camera, I had a foot post where the double shooting was in the 7-9 as well. So it's just, it goes to show you that there are things that happened that we're never going to forget as either police or pro-police and law-abiding citizens of this city and state. And we're not acknowledging what goes on, like you said, in Chicago. We're encouraging that to be taken care of better. A guy like Colin Kaepernick would probably swarm kids around him for the good if he goes to a neighborhood over there and tries to do something good. I mean, to try to just keep this divisiveness, I think it's never going to change if we don't do it. And you're one of the guys that's actually trying to make a change in there.
And listen, you cover this fairly often. Has anything changed since Kaepernick started kneeling? Has anything positive? Has anything good come out of this?
No, it's gotten worse, and the only thing I will say that got good out of it was what Dak Prescott said, is that it's become a talking point, and people have been acknowledging it a little more. But that's, again, I'll go back to my thing is, yes, let's talk about it. Let's break down Trayvon Martin. Let's break down Michael Brown. I have no problem. I'll acknowledge your protest, NFL players. And please, I welcome it. And let's break this down like two gentlemen, not screaming, going with the facts. Autopsies don't lie.
Trayvon Martin was shot and killed by a guy that wasn't even a police officer.
No.
But police officer had to deal with the protests and the slack and the nastiness and all the behind the scenes with the violence. I don't know where that came from.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That person was tried, put in front of a jury, and whatever happened, but that had nothing to do with the police. Another thing people forget is the majority, not all, the majority of police-involved shootings have to do with deadly physical force being presented against the officer. That is not police brutality. Nowadays, every time there's a camera, God forbid a cop puts their hands on somebody, they can claim police brutality. That's not police brutality, that's taking police action. So maybe people need to be informed more of what police brutality is, the difference between police brutality and extreme or, too much physical force being used. Maybe that's what they need to understand, not being a wise ass, but the truth, so that they can understand this isn't what we thought it was, and maybe we can start working towards the goal, because we're getting nowhere. Every weekend, it's Sunday, there's a player kneeling. Monday, there's a story on it. The following Sunday, another kneel.
Yeah.
Where are we going? Where are we going with this? This is starting nothing but pissing people off on both sides. It's adding to the fire, and we need to find a solution once and for all, because without simple discussion and understanding, it get heated. You want to get it out.
Yeah.
But let's get somewhere. Let's hear both sides and finally get somewhere. Goodell's got to stop being a punk. Stand up. You're the face of this. Do what you have to do. Set the rules, and that's the end of it. And slowly, not overnight, because there's some people that say, screw you, the NFL screwed up, we're never going back. Yeah. But I've heard stories of fathers over generations upon generations going with their sons to games and tailgating and having the season tickets. And it's more than just a game. It's a way to get away from reality, the stresses of life, the nonsense. And then you go to pay good, hard-earned dollars, especially with MetLife now. You're paying an arm and a leg. It's ridiculous. But they were still paying to see more nonsense. They don't want politics. They want to see a game. Like I said, also, Derek Jeter and all these great players, you'll never know what their background does because they understand and respected these players coming out and watching them play a game. And they were entertainers and they gave their all every single day. You never heard Derek Jeter bring up a political comment. Never. And that's the way it should be. Now, did Derek probably say stuff off the camera or off the field? Yes, and he's entitled to. That's what that flag and that amendment gives you the right to do. Yeah. But do it in the right places.
Yeah, no, I agree. And Derek Jeter is the epitome of a professional athlete. Now, this is a guy who played his whole career in the Big Apple, dated starlets, divas, was a big club scene guy, and there was never one bad thing said about him. And, to me, he's the epitome of what you just said. I want to bring in the Jets a little bit again. I also have a problem the way Todd Bowles handles his locker room. I mean, the Jets have multiple arrests. And it's not just black guys. I think I don't listen. I tapped out, so I don't know these guys by name. A lot of them, but there's a white. I think he's a tight end. He's got like long hair. He got arrested, I think, twice for DWI in the offseason. And it was like, all right, so it's not just black guys that If you're a coach and the player gets arrested, regardless of what the league does, you have to suspend him or do something with him at the team level as well. Todd Bowles is like, it's just it's just like society. X amount of people are going to get arrested for DWI. You have a 53-man roster, X amount. No, that's not the way you run a team. And I don't even care if they win or lose. I'm just talking about as an organization. Right. The Jets have thank God they got rid of Sheldon Richardson because he should have been shot for all intents and purposes. He reached for I don't care if it's legal or not. You reach for a loaded gun under a seat and there's a cop telling you to get out of the car after a 100-mile-an-hour chase, what he did with weed and the 12-year-old in the car, he should have been lit up. And then that would have been a quote-unquote good shooting, and people don't know what that means. That means the cop was in fear for his life, a deadly physical force, and had to take action to meet that same deadly physical force. So it doesn't mean that it's good that he shot him. It's police jargon. That means that he had no choice. It would have been him or me, and I had to go home to my wife. I had to shoot this guy. So the Jets, around Bowles since day one, have had a lot of criminal-type guys. Robbie Anderson. Now, he actually had the balls to tell that cop, I believe it was in Florida, and he's on the police dash cam on it, and I think he's in the back seat, I'm going to rape your wife and nut in her eye. Now, I'm sure you and I've heard so many things about my wife. I mean, my daughter, because my daughter was a little girl. Not that they knew I had kids, but they just assumed you had kids. So we've got used to hearing that, and we don't take it seriously. I used to laugh at these crackheads when they would say that to me. And I'm sure the arresting officer didn't take it seriously. But for him to have the balls to say that, and then at a press conference at early OTA, now a lot of the charges were dropped and they made a deal and they squashed it or whatever. He pled out to some nonsense. He goes, I didn't do anything wrong.
The situation happened before. I didn't do nothing wrong. The truth came out. I did nothing wrong. I was proven innocent. Charges were dropped. So,
and none of those reporters had the balls to call him out. I'll give you an example. One time, Brandon Marshall, when he was a receiver on the Jets, early, I think it was right before the season started, he was on Inside the NFL, which I believe is a show. Showtime used to be on HBO. And he was a guest on there, and he brought up something I don't remember, and I'm going to kind of paraphrase. It was between white and black quarterbacks that Tom Brady can get away with anything and Brett Rodgers, but if a black quarterback does something, he's going to get called out and berated and all of that. And I don't even know if it was on or off the field things. But whatever it was a divisive type argument. And this is when I was still there covering the Jets. And we had Brandon Marshall in the locker room, and there was one of us scrums around him, everybody with the recorders. I asked him straight out, did you get any flack after that remark you said on Inside the NFL? And he goes, what remark? I don't know what you're talking about. I said, of course you know what I'm talking about. The black and white quarterback issue. Nah. And to me, it was funny because I think a week later, I have a tattoo of my magazine on here, and I was holding my thing, and it got on TV, and it was Brandon Marshall again. I wish it was the same incident, but it always reminds me of that when I see that video and that shot. That somebody in that locker room, reporter-wise, had to have said to Robbie Anderson, "You did nothing wrong." I mean, how do you say that? And Bowles didn't even comment on that. I mean, that is the most inappropriate behavior. I don't give a shit about this role model thing for kids. I don't even look at it. I don't even try to use that as an excuse. Even we should be our own role models to our own kids. We don't have to worry about some guy that shoots baskets or hits baseballs. But just for a guy to say that after he was wrong, he got locked up. He was totally in the wrong, and he says something like that, and he escalates the situation now. And then try to say he's got nothing wrong, and nobody called him out on it. Reporters, coach, I don't even know if the league has handed out suspension. So, to me, being a Jet fan, and then I'm trying to be, as a media person, being just objective, no fan, the Jets, to me, are totally, because the way they run there, and I was so happy the way you came out, you spoke that out, that refused their offer, declined it politely, is because they are a microcosm of what is wrong with this league.
And that's why when they came at me and tried to say, well, we stand, it's more than just a standing, just like you spoke about. Just because you stand doesn't mean that everything else goes under the rug. Nope. And I've said it for years now, it's accountability. It's accountability for your actions. And these players they should be held to a higher standard.
Yeah.
And it's going to hurt them when they're not getting paid, or on top of that, when they're not playing. Because you know what? Maybe when they're not playing, some other guy who wants them more than them are going to take their spot and knock them off the roster.
Yeah.
Because people are hungry. A very minimal amount of people make the professional league. And this is what these guys need. They need to check to reality. Just because you're on TV doesn't mean you can say what you want, act like a complete moron, because there are people watching. You are influencing people, and you should be held to a higher standard. And just because you make millions of dollars doesn't mean you can go out there and disrespect whether it's first responders or nurses or doctors, because you know that too, being in the hospital, these poor doctors get, the crap kicked out of them too trying to help. That people don't understand.
Yep.
And that's it. Finding is great, all right? But when you kick them off the field and say, you're not playing, those guys feel like morons, And they have to still go through the practice every day, still have to break their ass, but guess what? You're not playing.
Yeah.
And these guys got to stop being soft. And that's what's wrong with the NFL and a lot of political groups, and I can keep going on and on and on. It's accountability. You mess up, this is going to be your punishment. End of story. And I'm sick and tired of hearing the race card. Oh, it's because I'm black. Oh, it's because I'm this. Enough is enough with that. I love Candace Owens on Fox. She goes right after him and says, no, this isn't what's going on. This happened to our great, 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 great aunt. You weren't there for that. Enough with the nonsense. Yes, you keep it in history books, and you keep talking about it to make sure it never goes back to that. I'm 1,000% for it. But stop playing the race card. Stop playing the female card. Enough with it. You know what I mean? We're adults. It's 2018. People fought very, very hard to get the rights that these individuals have today. And you're spitting on them for all the scrutiny and the pain and stuff like shit like Jackie Robinson had to deal with.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? These guys could have been murdered to let you and let us have the rights we have. Enough already. Let's grow up and let's move forward.
Yeah, you definitely, I see eye to eye with all of those points as well.
And I'm fucking passionate about it when I go into it.
Me too, bro. Hey, listen, I got no, and to me, it's like, I look at it in two different ways, covering sports as a media guy, and then also being a cop for as long as I was. I'm not trying to hide that. I'm transparent about that. And I'm wide open about that, and that's why a lot of these incidents, like you were bringing up, if you look at them, it's not what the protests are.
Michael Brown, they claimed he was a saint. Meanwhile, on social media, pointing a gun at the camera. He just, threatened to kill some guy inside of a store. He puts his hands on a cop, and that's the difference that people don't understand.
Trying to take his
They're
gun.
very lucky. They're very lucky that they're in New York City, because stuff that officers, God forbid we even do here, it's A-okay to do somewhere else.
Yes.
It's no second guessing, you know what I mean? So people have to understand, get the facts out there. Even the media plays a huge role in this nonsense.
Yeah.
I was part of it. I was on ABC Nightline, and prime example, I sat around a whole table. The very next night, I went and they flew me out to meet President Obama for the 2020 town hall. And during Nightline, the way the media put it, and there's a black and white couple, and they're amazing. I'm friends with them on Facebook. Really, really good people. But the story is they tried to paint the picture that the cops just pulled this guy out of a car, put their knees in his back, and arrested him for no reason. What everyone failed to see, because I was in the room and that they cut out, is that the black gentleman admitted that he had a warrant, didn't realize it, gave the cops a little bit of slack. You know it. There comes a point, you can't plead back and forth for days on end. You say, listen, you got to come out with us. They take him out the car, didn't whip his ass, but they had to use force, and that was it. But the media cut out that whole thing, and they only portrayed it as if they just pulled him out the car. They didn't even put coming out of the guy's mouth that, yes, I had a warrant, yes, my taillight was out, yes, I gave him a hard time. They didn't put that. So this is the problem.
ABC,
no one sees the full story. Same thing with those cameras. When you see the cop just throwing haymakers. Before that, you didn't see the cop on his back getting kicked and punched. You didn't see the guy reaching for his gun. So let's stop and call it what it is. When someone's wrong, they're wrong. No matter what side you're on. You know, but treat it that way. You know, don't treat these NFL players like angels and superstars when they're smoking weed and snorting crack in the off-season and crap like that. They're not angels. You know what I mean? And yes, when the cops do dumb stuff, fire them. I agree. Yeah. You know, but let's call it what it is and finally agree to disagree, you know?
Shut up and sit down.
Time for a little light workout outside. With no whiskey, get the workout done at home. Have a great one.
It's funny how you said it. It's like it's become commonplace and okay to it's when you're under arrest. It's not debatable. If the cop was wrong, you got to take it. Like they tell it to the judge. The old stupid line. It actually comes into play in this situation. It used to be just like, wow, look what's going on. Now the guy fights and people around there start to pull the cop off the people. It's become okay to do that because they're saying the cop was wrong. Like I said, maybe the cop is wrong. Maybe the warrant was taken care of, but it's still showing up. You got to clear it up at the station house.
Absolutely.
Sorry, that's just the way it goes. Or you could, like Sandra Bland, she could have been on her way with a ticket. She escalated that situation, and she committed
Eric Gardner put his hands behind his back and went to jail.
He was told to leave. And you know what? He would have walked away. The cops would have drove away when he would have came back. We all done it a million times. You just want to... And the lady, the people in the building are the one that called 911 on and made the complaint. Right. It was a precinct condition, from what I understood, from what I heard.
100% right.
Yeah.
They were called there for a reason. They didn't just show up. There's even more to it that someone higher up at the time who's not there anymore, was retired, actually made a call to the CO and said, you gotta fix this problem. Yeah. And the cops went over there because then what happens? It trickles down. Hey, my condition, guys, go there. Please get this guy off the corner. That's all he had to do. But instead of that, what does he do? He argues, and they only see a couple minutes. Yeah. They were pleading with him for minutes on end, like 10, 15 minutes. You know, and another thing I'm going to leak out to people which didn't know is, and this is why officers need to document stuff, is Eric Gardner, the previous time he was arrested, told the cops, next time I'm not going to go and I'm going to resist. And I'm going to give him a hard time. But that's not documented and people don't know that. So a lot of people don't know the facts of what really goes on. He wasn't an angel. At the end of the day, it was Lucy's, yes. Is it petty? Yes, it is a little bit petty. But guess what? Those store owners pay thousands of dollars in taxes every year to sell legit cigarettes. Yeah. And they don't want these people in front of their business stealing from them. They go to community council meetings to try to correct it. You know, and then when you take enforcement action, suddenly, oh my God, how did the cops do that? He was doing something illegal. Stop him doing the nonsense, and let's be accountable for the stuff that's going on, because we're finally moving in the right direction as a nation. You know, everyone gets a slap on the wrist. Most people get a slap on the wrist nowadays. And same thing what you said. Remember back in the day, you go, and if you let the perp curse you out in the corner and you walk away, it made it harder for the next cop. But if they just nipped it in the butt and gave him a summons and locked him up right then and there, the next time maybe he wouldn't say something, or maybe he'd be respectful and say, hey, officer, how are you? Same thing here. Nip it in the butt, and we won't have the problems. Almost like Rudy Giuliani. The broken windows. You know, stop the nonsense because it's going to lead to bigger crap. And he's 100% right. You know, and we got to get back to that.
Yeah. And it's funny because the reason why you first have the police, civilian interaction, regardless if it's a violation, misdemeanor, felony, or nothing, that doesn't matter. Once there is an interaction, if that individual starts to escalate it or however it goes down, now that becomes the issue, not the loosies. It's, we told you to go, now you're not going. You're going. Now you're going with us. Now you're not going around the corner and peek until we drive away and then come back and do your thing. So that's the whole thing is that people say, well, he only had a broken taillight or something, why? Then all of a sudden he got shot. Well, maybe he had a broken taillight, but he also was reaching for a gun that was under the seat or in a bulge in his waistband or a furtive move. And, I always say, I'm studying for the sergeant's test, which I'm sure you did too, which was a lot of fun, right? I still hear PTS things, in my head. They're not even around anymore. I took the test, the first one I took was in the 96 test, and I got promoted up to 99 one. 25 names away when the list died because of the merger, and that was the last time that they curved the test. So technically I should have been made like 2 years before that, but I don't want to get into that. That's another story. We'll have a beer one night and we'll talk about it with a few laughs. But I remember that I always said, don't have to wait for the glint to steal, because then you're getting shot first maybe. So if the youth believe the guy had the gun, and then especially if he does have one, that's an armed perpetrator, deadly physical force. You have to match, fire with fire. And like you said, if people know those facts, it changes the narrative completely. And I was an undercover for 3 years or so in Midtown, Lower East Side, and I used to have like a longer hair mullet. I had a little straggly beard, a bit worse than I have now. I dressed like one of these punk rocker kids and stuff. And this was in like 1990 when I got there. Now, trust me, I was not given white privilege by the patrol cops that were there that thought I was a piece of shit, a crackhead. I was thrown up against the wall. I had police guns put to my head until my field team got there. And, he's one of us. So No, I can't put myself in a black guy's shoes, but I put myself in the crackhead shoes for many years and junkie shoes. I get caught in the third floor of a tenement shooting gallery in the Lower East Side on Avenue D. I'm not a good guy by a uniformed cop. I'm a bad guy to him. And for all intents and purposes, I looked it, until I was able to whisper to him, I got my ID in my shoe, I'm on the job, I'm an undercover from Manhattan South TNT, whatever. But for the most part, I dealt with that as an adult, and I grew up in Brooklyn, and we were dopey kids, and cops didn't give us breaks because we were white kids, so I dealt with a lot of stupid things where I dealt with the police either before I was a cop or while I was an undercover cop, so I can relate to a certain extent of getting thrown up against the wall when you're just walking down the block. But if you're up to no good, you deserved it, and if you get thrown up against the wall, play the game.
I've noticed the majority of people that make the biggest issues are the ones that rebel against the rules.
Yeah.
That's always happened. It's always the bad guys that are rebelling against the police officers. It's always the people that aren't getting their way in the NFL or another sport that aren't getting their way. It's not that what they're saying has 100% truth to it. It's that they're trying to get a row up. They want to get the attention off of what's really going on. And that's what's wrong. And I keep going back to it. We got to call it what it is. You mess up. You did the crime. Now you do the time on it. The typical line.
Yeah.
This is the problem. Stop giving the slack. They're setting the example that these players can get away with things. And as you stated earlier, these players were getting locked up in the off season. Are you kidding me?
Felonies.
MLB players do steroids on their own. They're not affecting nobody. They're not committing crimes. And yet you're suspending them for 80 games.
Yeah,
80 games for a first offense for doing something that you're trying to make your body better. I'm not condoning it or discondoning it, but I'm just showing. You got a guy breaking the law with either a firearm or drugs, and he's back in the playing field and allowed to go and make millions of dollars. We need to take a book out of the MLB page We need to take a book out of a page out of the NFL, NBA, and get the NFL on the right page. Go by what these people are doing, because guess what? They don't do it again after that. You hit them where it hurts. And a lot of times, it's not just on the field where they make their money, it's endorsements. Look at Tiger Woods, this poor guy. And that's personal issues. The guy didn't commit a goddamn crime. No. He had issues with his wife, and he lost out on millions upon millions of dollars.
Yeah. He got back to she was trying to hit him. He was running away from her.
Like, you see the difference? Come on, guys. Like, let's call it what it is. Yeah. And these are facts. We're throwing out legit facts. We're not making things up like some other people. Look at what's going on. So enough already. And what I said earlier, fine them. No, you know what? We should suspend them. Suspend them for whether it's one. If they do it another time, they get suspended for 3 or 4 games or half the season. Yeah. They do it again, 3 times the next round period, you don't play for the year. Yeah. That's it. They're going to stop.
They're definitely going to stop. And I wanted to bring up another point that a lot of the people on the protester side of the argument brings up and say, and Kaepernick suing the league for collusion. I will be the first guy to stand up and say, I totally agree. There is collusion against Colin Kaepernick and Eric Reid now, because they both deserve to be on the field and playing because they have the talent. I interviewed Colin Kaepernick, I think, 3 months after the Niners lost that tough Super Bowl against the Ravens, where he was one completion away at the end of the game from the 7-yard line, I believe. And that's when he took over, I think, in week 4 or something for Alex Smith, who got hurt. And Kaepernick was a second-year player and then became a superstar. Rightfully so. The guy is multi-talented as an athlete. I interviewed a very humble, young, spiritual, pious man that day. Face to face, Joe. I'm sitting, and it was in Denver, Colorado. I was sitting there, and he was sitting there, and we had a nice one-on-one exclusive interview that they gave me with him. It wasn't like a press conference thing. And I was talking to him about his tattoos. And a lot of them were like biblical, sayings and stuff like that, and scriptures and stuff like that. Like I said, he was a very humble young man. And obviously we know what happened. He started dating that Hot 97, whatever. I'm still calling it Hot 103. I'm showing my age again. Mm-hmm. Hot 97 DJ, who's some woman, I don't even know her name. I don't listen to that music, and I don't listen to that station. And she was very militant, and she gave him a lot of encouragement to do it. I will admit that man deserves to not probably even be on a roster, probably to start on a few teams. And they say, oh, there's collusion. Nobody wants to admit it. I'll admit it. You're totally right. But there's a reason why there's collusion against him. And Eric Reid, who's still a good safety in this league. It's because, is it worth the baggage for an organization to bring that guy on board? I say it's you're out of your mind if you bring a guy on board like that. What do you think?
I agree and disagree with you in a sense. You can see Colin Kaepernick. He's not a bad guy. He's not someone that's trying to, in our terms, I don't want to go that route, but he's not a bad person.
He's not shooting out the corner, right?
And he looks like the type that if you sat down and he'd be a little timid, almost like a Michael Jackson when he's off the camera and he's just like very, very to himself and humble. He's not a bad person.
I became a huge fan of him because of that short time that we had
and
together.
He was very talented. What I do, and I disagree a little bit with you, which we're allowed to. The last season or two, his numbers weren't that good,
Yeah.
And teams do have the option of whether they want to cut you or not. It doesn't mean they have to hold you just because. And they do if it's not fitting well on top of the baggage, but your numbers aren't really competing because you know what? Listen, if I had all that stuff going on in my life with the cameras in my face every day and I can't concentrate and my talent, on the field, it's going to screw you up. It definitely played a part. I really do believe that it kind of screwed up his career because everything got sidetracked. His talent went to the side, and now he's this political figure, and it probably weighed a lot on him. He's human, the poor guy. But players, teams do have the option saying, we don't want you.
Yeah.
You know, they can do that. So to sue somebody in that aspect, it's almost like you and me. If somebody doesn't want us in anti-crime, and that's a unit where you run around plain clothes, or they feel that we didn't, up to par with conditions or SNU, guess what? We're not getting into it. If they think you're not good for detective bureau, you're not getting in. They have the option to deny it. So when people say, he should sue for his job back, you know what? If he gets cut, he gets cut. It is what it is. There's other people who've gotten cut for a lot less.
Yeah.
Or a lot more. Either way.
Yeah, and I don't think that, like when I say he's right with the collusion, I don't think he has the proof to prove it in a court of law. Even though it doesn't need to, it's not like it's got to be a probable cause criminal type of thing. But I still don't think he'll be able to do it. It's easy to say he doesn't fit our team. He doesn't fit our offensive play. Whatever. But I think just to call it like I see it, to trying to be objective with it, I do think that people are saying, is it worth it? We're going to lose fans. We're going to get negative press. We might even pick up some fans and get good press from certain places like MSNBC and CNN. I agree. You'll be media darlings. They'll love the Browns or whoever. But I think that for the most part, these owners know it's a business, and the bottom line is the bottom line, and they're already taking a big hit to bring in the focal point of that. What's making your ratings go down and your money to go down because there's not enough many people watching and buying and drinking and buying the shirts anymore. They know that would be, it would be the death knell of that organization to bring him in. There's not enough good press from people that would applaud you for having the balls to bring a guy like this in. But I still think talent-wise, he definitely is. There's 32 teams and there's 3 quarterbacks in every team.
He could be someone.
96 quarterbacks aren't better than him right now.
Yeah. They can do somebody.
Yeah, but is it worth, especially as a backup, is it worth bringing? It's definitely not worth as a backup. If you think he can bring you to a Super Bowl, probably not anymore because of the rust and the age and the injuries. But I still think that teams are shying away from him. But he did it to himself.
Yes, he did.
You know what? You want to wear Che Guevara shirts and and things like that. I mean, people. It's stuff like all of that stuff adds up. It's not just the Neil protest. It was the way he endeared himself and how he looked, and he went to Africa in the off season, spoke bad about America in the off season.
He went from being such a clean cut, like seemed fairly normal, to almost like when he'd be interviewed, he was almost like a space cadet. Like after a while, like he went from like a complete, I don't know what the hell was going on with him. You know what I mean? Like you would think that he was taking something.
Yeah.
It was really odd how in such a fast amount of time, he just became a completely different person. Yeah. Now, I don't get it. I don't understand it. Maybe it was his reasons. I don't know. But it was just very odd to me.
I attribute it to the girlfriend, which I don't even know. Maybe it's his wife now. I don't know. But I don't even know what she looks like. Honestly, I don't even know who she is. But I know I've read that doing stories about this and stuff. And I know what she stands for and stuff like that. I guess along the same lines, kind of with sports and this whole protesting, Jemele Hill recently got let go by ESPN. And it seems like ESPN, and they have a new president, his name is Jimmy Pitaro, which is very close to my last name, which is also my dad and my son's name. So when I'm reading it, I'm like, oh, wow, it's actually, just a little, I chuckle a little bit reading that. But he's the new guy who came in, and he's trying to get the politics out of ESPN because they have taken a huge hit ratings-wise. So he's trying to take the politics out, bring it back to where it was, and which made it great. Mm-hmm. I mean, the worldwide leader in sports, that's just a saying now. It was originally an actual truth to that saying. So he's really trying to do a different thing where, so he bought her out. He had to give her $2.5 million just to get her out of town. And now she's going around and speaking and all of that. And good for her. Be an activist. That's probably what you're better at than sports. Because as a fellow person in sports media, she was brutal anyway. So what do you think about ESPN trying to change that political look back to let's talk about what we're here for?
When I was younger, I remember being at my grandma's house and watching on Sunday mornings at 8 a.m. and 8:30 and 9.
Sports reporting.
It was the coolest show. It was the best. It really was. And it was fun to watch. I mean, it was all improv, and they were great. And then, out of nowhere, it just took a turn for the worse, and they stopped talking about, like, sports. So it's like MTV, how they stopped playing all music videos. And it became like that's the best way of comparing it.
And
Jersey Shore turned it up one day, And you're like, what is this? This isn't the ESPN, or Sports Center that I knew.
Yeah.
So I think it's a great move to go back. You know what it is? It's weird how overnight everything became politically correct, a few years back. And I think people in general are just getting fed up with it and kind of want things to just go back to normal.
Yes.
And I think it would just be great for everyone. Have fun again. Get rid of this nonsense Me Too movement and, the extra sensitive snowflakes and, everything that you hear all around. Let's just get back to being human beings, having fun, enjoying life, and getting back to sports and life and family. It's not hard. We make it hard. If I say this all the time because it's the platform from Blue Lives, one day I really want to make a run for political office. And God bless the assemblymen and councilmen who worry about stop signs and parks and potholes, and God bless them.
Yeah.
I would love, this is my opinion, being an officer for 20 years to do it correctly. You're given a badge and a gun. And if you could do that honestly for 20 years and be told, listen, in a matter of a second, you could take a life or save a life, there's nothing more political than that.
Yes.
And the goal is, and I think over time, everything's been overly complicated. And my slogan will be, back to the basics. Because in life, everything is too complicated. Bring it back to the basics. Let's shave down all the nonsense that gets people riled up. And when you take that crap away and you see what it truly is, then you can be like, wow, that's what it is. It's like turning the light on in a room. Now you can see. And let's get back to that stuff. Because the way things are going in general and the way this is pushing things off, whether it's sports or politics, it's not a good direction.
Yeah.
This whole fighting and bickering all the time. Listen, you can disagree, but you got to also respect one another.
Yes.
And as long as we can do that once again, and listen, just basic conversation, sitting down with Colin Kaepernick, you think he's a complete moron or jerk, and then you sit with him, and you're like, wow, this guy was awesome. He's a gentleman.
Yeah.
It's that simple, just conversation and giving each other a chance, and that's what we got to get to.
I'm gonna help in your campaign. I'm volunteering right now. Whenever it is, I don't know, 7 years from now, whenever you got somebody right here that's gonna be out there, with a bullhorn. I don't know where you're gonna be, what type of office you're gonna run in. I don't live where you live, so I may not be allowed to run if it's local. But I'll make sure that my buddies, I have a lot of buddies out now, and I'm gonna get them out there. But I'm gonna let you go now because I know you got a busy day. This is the time that I want you to plug anything you want to plug about events coming up with Blue Lives Matter. Plug the website where people can go and show some support for the group and for police all around.
Well, guys, we got social media, Blue Lives NYC on Twitter. We got Blue Lives Matter -NYC with the Angel Wings on Facebook. Follow us, see everything we do, and BlueLivesMatterNYC.org. We got our interviews up there. You can go up there. You get merchandise. 100% of the proceeds go back to the families of fallen officers or cops that are dealing with a life-threatening disease. I am a full-time sergeant in the city. I don't make a cent off this. It's something that I love. It's something greater than me that's pushing it.
Yeah,
and if you guys would love to support us or email us at BlueLivesMatterNYC, .org also, you can email us. And we'll get back to you. And if there's a way of us working together, someone's out there saying, hey, we want to work with them, we'd love to.
That's awesome, man. And we're losing guys from 9/11 still. I'm losing guys that I know to this day from cancer and stuff like that. And I was down there, not that day, but in the after effects on the rescue and stuff like that, and recovery and cleanup. And it's that I still can't understand how we went from a country that adored the first responders and was so rah-rah to I have my theory, which I won't talk about now because I know not everyone's going to agree with it, and that's fine. But we went from, we love the NYPD, we love the FDNY, we love the Port Authority, EMS, all of that, and obviously the military. We were all cheering when Afghanistan started getting their ass kicked in right after that. And now to what we are today, and what we just spoke about is just a sampling of that. So, but hopefully more people like yourself that want to make things better, and I want to help be a voice for your group, and I'm going to continue to be. Maybe things will get just a little better because it's not fun anymore. It's really it's not fun. So, Joe Imperatrice.
That's it.
Oh, see, if I got that, I got to play the horses today.
Yeah, Joe Piscopo would say Imperatrice.
Oh, I saw you were on his show too. Piscopo's good. His best playing days are far behind him, to use a sports expression, but I still like him. He's still a pro guy for many of the issues that you and I think, see eye to eye on. But definitely go to Blue Lives, the website is Blue Lives Matter, NYC.org. I will put graphics and stuff like that on this show, post-production. I'll put links in the description. And great job. Congratulations to you. And please keep me informed on the ongoings with the NFL, Jets, and whatever, how that goes. I would love to do follow-up on that. And God bless you, bro.
Thank you so much. Take care.
Thanks. We'll be right back after this quick break.
Hey, this is Kat Secor, IFBB Pro and Super League Pro, and you're watching Muscle Sport TV.
Crystal Wildfire Anthony here with another episode of Spreading Like Wildfire on Muscle Sport TV. No, I don't have a boyfriend. Whatever. Boyfriend application. Get your pens out. Get your penis out. We'll see if anybody passes my application. First thing is you gotta have hard and long. Your height. Your real weight. Not necessary. You know, do you live with mommy and daddy? Next. You working at McDonald's? Next. All those things make a big difference to women. Do you own a girl and guy porn? Do you jack off naked? How often? Rate your favorite. Girl on girl porn. King of the fucking chicken. How naked are you? I'm crazy. Need to shove your penis inside of me. Your penis. DM me your results. You never know. You might be the next one, guys. Try it and see. Thanks for listening, guys.
Wrestle. We are Olympia bound, and we hope you are as well. We want to get you guys for photos to put in the print magazine. We want to do video interviews with you for Muscle Sport TV. We're going to be doing live broadcasts from the Expo Hall and, of course, from our fucking home base, home away from home for the Olympia, the Alligator Bar at the Host Hotel, the Orleans. And we want to see you guys there. We were fucking packed there every night last year. There was MSM shirts everywhere, and we're going to see more of the same, I hope, this year. We're going to be there September 13th through 16th, and I want to thank so much OldSchoolIron.com for being the title sponsor of all our preview, on-scene, and recap coverage at the Olympia. Going to do it for us on this week's episode of MSTV. Thank you once again to Sergeant Joe Imperatrice. Great job, and we are going to be doing a lot of stuff with the Blue Lives Matter NYC organization, Pro Police MSM family all the way. And also, I want to make another announcement. Beginning of the show, we talked about Titan Medical Center, Greg Valentino talking smack. The new title sponsor of Dave Goy's Superhero Strong. That's right, Dave's back too. A lot of returnings. These guys are coming from places where, we'll leave it at that. But Guilty Crew Worldwide, Steiner Kaspersen, a big-time member of the MSM fam over in Norway, has his company, apparel company, caps and T-shirts. It's Guilty84.com. They are the new title sponsor of Superhero Strong, starring Comerica Muscle Dave Goys. So make sure we'll let you guys know when that episodes are going to begin. But we will see you guys in 1 week back here on MSTV.